What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the first episode in our coverage of Shadowrun Hong Kong by Harebrained Schemes. My name is Splattercat, and I'm so stoked to have you here today. Shadowrun is one of those things to me that is incredibly special, and so I've had like this mixture of excitement and anxiety about recording this series over the last couple days since it landed in my inbox. I'm very, very stoked to be back with you here, chummers. I've followed Shadowrun since I was a kid. I've read the books, I've got all the player manuals and everything. I've played multiple campaigns. It's followed me my entire life, whereas I've burned out on other things like D&D and Dragonlance and stuff like that. Shadowrun has always remained just eminently interesting to me. I love everything about it. Something about the Tolkien races in the future just makes me stoked, and I love just how grimdark and gritty and nasty the whole world is. And so, if you didn't know that I love Shadowrun, now you know, so now you know. Let's go ahead and start the game off because I think there's going to be a lot of character creation. I know a reasonable amount about the world of Shadowrun, so I'll do my best to explain things as we go through rather than doing it up front. Just be aware that I think this is going to be a very, very fun playthrough, and I hope you stick around. Welcome. Let's jump into Hong Kong, chummers. All right, so we're going to pick our campaign. Not much has changed. You still do the little thing where you select your campaign, and your current global difficulty setting is normal. That sounds good. I don't know. I used to be one of those people that always, actually when I play by myself, I always put everything on the hardest setting. But when I play on YouTube, I find that people just get grumpy with me and I grind down their dentition. They watch me play and just like struggle over. See, I don't beat a game on hard through skill. I just beat it through attrition and not giving up. Alright, so what gender do we want to be? Well, I suppose, actually, whenever I play this game, I feel like I always go with let's just go with a male character. I'm okay with it. I'm going to go with the very phallic symbol that they gave us here. And then we got to choose our race. So, humans, pretty standard. They do everything you expect them to do. Oh, they start with 3 karma at the beginning of the game. That's pretty sweet. Karma is basically spendable XP that you use to increase your stats if you weren't aware. There's elves, okay. And so what happened right now, I want to explain this. So essentially what happened is there was an awakening of magic. Like magic died in the world and then it came back in the future and it was called like the awakening. And essentially when magic reawakened in the world, the reason why you hear people telling stories about magic and stuff from like medieval times and the Renaissance and whatnot is because there actually was magic and like elves and like gnomes and things back then. It's just that magic died out and everybody became human again. It's like a short and dirty version, but anyways. Magic came back, and so over time people have goblinized, although that's an offensive word. You shouldn't use it in the Shadowrun setting, but it's called goblinization or awakening or whatever you want to call it. Goblinization is the process by which a normal human becomes a metahuman, like an elf or a dwarf or a troll or an orc, and typically it's unless you're turning into an elf, and the elves are pretty much the only people that are accepted. Dwarves, trolls, and orcs people are pretty racist to them. So anyways, it's usually a fairly traumatic experience in a young person's life when they turn into an elf or a troll or a goblin or whatever, because it means they're no longer part of human society, and now they just got to deal with people being nasty and racist to them all the time. But yeah, once magic came back to the world, bam, bam, bomb, people started turning back into elves and goblins and trolls and stuff. I'm just going to go with a human. I really like the bonus right there, and we're going to be making a Decker/Rigger today. And so I'm going to go back with the build that I had in the first game. In the second game, we went with the Shaman, but I really felt like the Shaman was too supportive, and I just didn't enjoy it that much. Like, I do enjoy supportive people that are like, oh, I'm sorry things aren't working out for you right now. But for real, I prefer my characters to be edgy. Look at that mohawk, man. That's a big-ass mohawk. That's one of those, like, Casualty style ones. I don't know if you guys ever listened to the Casualties, but they had big mohawks. That's pretty much what I knew them for. It wasn't their music, it was just the fact they had really big mohawks. Anyways, we'll go with the human, and then we're going to go with Decker. The class choices, if you wanted to, a street samurai. That's generally just like a mercenary of the streets who stabs people and shoots people. He's really, really good at inflicting pain and blood loss on people. There's the mage, which essentially means that he taps into the arcane and knows how to fling spells at people. He bends the ether to his will and then fires it at people and uses it to kind of just like manipulate the physical realm. Deckers are basically cybermancers, or I guess that's what you could call them, is they jack into the Matrix, which is sort of like a 3D representation of the internet. It's a world that is the internet in the future, basically. And they're kind of like wizards that live in the Matrix and can do like anything with it. Essentially, they're cybermancers. And so, the Shaman. The Shaman is a little bit different than the Mage. While the Mage rips magic out of the ether and forces the universe to bend to his will, a Shaman works in collusion, I suppose, with nature and sort of like convinces it to do his will, if you really wanted to differentiate it. Additionally, they have like a totemic shaman, and so, I'm sorry, they have a totemic vibe to them, and so whenever a shaman is young and he learns that he's got magic, he'll be approached by like a creature, a spirit animal, and so he'll become like a gator shaman, or a rat shaman, or a dog shaman, or whatever, depending on what animal approaches him in his dreams. Or it's a weird process. I actually haven't played a shaman in tabletop very much. There's riggers, which are the pet class. They build robots and drones that fly around and kill stuff, just in case you want to get your hub sand on. And then there's the physical adept, which is sort of like a battle mage. So they're a physical character that uses magic to augment their physical abilities rather than doing normal wizardy things like shooting fireballs. They will like enchant their quickness. They will make themselves like ridiculously witcher fast and stuff like that using their magic instead of focusing on, you know, fireballs and shields and things of that nature. Kind of a cool class. A lot of people like the physical adepts because it's sort of like a weird monk meets mage type class where you can teleport all over the place and be a Jedi-like badass. I'm gonna go with the Decker today because in my experience, the Shadowrun games never provide you with a good Decker, and so I actually kind of like that portrait right there. It's got that endearing scumbag type thing that I like about it. When I pick a portrait, that's what I go for. He has to be like a, I don't know, a scumbag you can love. He's a scumbag, but he's our scumbag. Let's see. Nope. How do you get the rings to stay in your beard like that? You just tie them in? That seems like it would hurt after a while. I've had a beard for a little while. Oh, that dude's got a kitty. Well, we're going with the kitty. I don't even want to have blonde hair, but he's got a cat in the portrait, so it's going to happen. Let's go ahead and... Oh, I got to do that right there. I forgot. That drove me in the first game. Until I realized you could click on that little link right there to customize your character, I was losing my mind. I got to find something that looks sort of like the portrait. It's got to be a Flophock, which he's also got my favorite hairstyle. I'm actually growing one of those right now. I had one when I graduated from college that was like almost a foot long. I had a really huge mohawk that I just never put up. I called it a Flophock because you just leave it off to the side. What? You can get a flock of seagulls here? You like flock of seagulls? No, but I can tell that you do. Let's see. They added a lot more hairstyles this time around. I appreciate that because in the previous games, there weren't a lot of hairstyles to choose from. I got like a cloud stripe faux hawk thing going on right there. I don't know which one I want. I definitely don't want a ponytail. I had a ponytail for a long ass time, but I just didn't like it. I don't know. That hair right there is manly. Like you're about to join a Finnish death metal band with that hair. It's about to be on. A Swedish folk metal band. I guess I'll probably just go with that one right there, and we'll just assume at the time the picture was taken that his hair fell down, and it's all okay. I kind of want him to have a beard, though. I like beards a lot. I can live with it. Nope, it's got to look like our portrait. I'm the type of person that it bothers me if the portraits don't look like my character. I hate it. It makes me upset. Continue to your stats. So essentially, they're going to allow us to start out with a bunch of karma. The karma is going to determine how well we do in the game. It's also our experience. So when you complete quests and things like that, you get karma and you spend it on stats. So I don't even know what I was talking about at the beginning. I said something dumb, and then I'm just going to like walk past it and pretend like I didn't say something dumb, and then I'm just going to hope nobody notices. But there's always going to be those people like, I noticed, down in the comments, so it's okay. Call me dumb. I accept it. It's part of working on the internet. So I'm going to go with decking, and karma has worked like this since the beginning of time. The level that you're buying here always costs the amount of karma of the level, so it would take me 6 karma to go up to level 6. For decking, I think we should probably focus pretty heavily on some of this stuff. We'll go with mark target. I'm going to go with decking rank 3. We should stick to our main stats for right now, in my opinion. I might actually leave that. ESP might not be a bad idea either. If you don't know what ESP is, I call them espers. Other people don't like that. Some people get mad at me when I say that, but I always call them espers. Essentially, it's a spirit in the machine. It's like an AI. Some of them are sentient, some of them are not. But anyways, it's kind of like an AI that's under your control. It's a pet when you're inside the Matrix, essentially. And so this reason down here is why you would probably want to focus on rigging as well, is because you also, the same stat is used by rigging, and so it's an easy way to compile all your points in one tree and have a super badass character who's good at a lot of stuff. The other thing that I would suggest doing is giving us some kind of ability to fight. I think that I'll probably go with rifles, but we have to take ranged combat up a couple before we can do that. So I would take ranged combat to there. I'll give myself a couple points in rifle just to sort of get started. And then we've got to hope that there's a lot of jobs in this game that you can do. I was actually hoping that in this game they'll put in a random mission generator that you can just do over and over and over again if you wanted to. That was one of my personal favorite things about the one on Sega Genesis. The game was technically endless because you could just spawn quests for yourself over and over and over again, and they tended to be pretty good too. I'm going to go with a little bit of drone control here, and I think that's going to land us just right. Drone, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, so let's put a couple into drone combat right there too, because it gives us some flat bonuses to accuracy. It gives your drone a little bit more armor too, and the drones can kind of be hard to keep in combat sometimes. So that's all of our karma gone. That's our character. He's got a 5 in intelligence. That means he's pretty average. A 9 in intelligence means that you're like a ridiculous, like high level, I don't know, Stephen Hawking, Michio Kaku type person that just like knows shit, and you're like, oh, you can levitate in the sky using your brain. It's gnarly. Anyways, let's go ahead and I almost said your brain legs. That's why I stopped right there. It sounded like I was going to do an L sound afterwards, but nope, I was like, you can levitate in the sky using your brain leg. But then I was like, that sentence seems really dumb to me, so I'm just going to back off of it. So in etiquette. In Shadowrun, an etiquette is essentially a world or a subculture that your character knows everything about, and so they are a member of that subculture. So there's like, for example, in the real world, there's hacker subculture, there's a football subculture, and if you're part of that subculture, you know all the slang and the random jargon and the who's who and the popular people and stuff like that. So we could choose to be academically educated. We could choose to be Shadowrunner educated, which is not a bad choice considering the game is called Shadowrun. We could choose to be socialite educated. We could choose to be gang educated, you know, and on and on and on and so forth. I would say that in general, the best ones that you can pick when playing tabletop are gang, corporate, security. Those tend to be really, really useful. But Shadowrunner is also a decent choice. I would probably go with, I bet you corporate will probably be more useful later on in the game. I usually like to fold these into the character's storyline. Like if you used to be a corporate decker, you should probably have a lot of corporate knowledge, you know. If you used to be a security agent, you would know a lot about security. I'll probably go with, you know, I'll probably just go with corporate. You can never go wrong with corporate knowledge. It always helps a little. And so our first name. I think that I figure we'll call our character Pop-Tart Tuesday. I do like Pop-Tarts. There was one on my desk, so I figured, you know what? Let's work with what you've got in front of you. You got to do what you got to do. And then real name, Splattercat. And that's just what they're going to call us for the rest of the game. So your name doesn't really matter aside from role-playing reasons. But that's my real name, actually. Google it. You'll find me. You'll be like, I found Pop-Tart Tuesday's house. My parents were a little bit odd like that. Let's play the game. Yes?
You have one new message.
Hi. It's Raymond. I hope I have the right number. Look, I know we haven't spoken in a while, but I need your help. Remember the day I took you and Duncan off the streets? I told you that the past is just a story, that if you can just accept that, your past loses all power over you. Yeah. I was wrong. I'm on my way to Hong Kong now, to finish something I should have faced a long time ago. And I need you with me. I know we're not blood, and we didn't leave things in a good place, but you and Duncan are the only real family I have. Please, if our past means anything to you, meet me in Hong Kong right away. I'll explain more when you get here. I'm begging you. I'm almost out of time.
I think it's safe to say that he's the worst friend ever, and we might be the best friend ever. I don't know. If somebody calls you and they're like, hey, you want to hang out? And then you end up in a Mexican standoff and a gunfight afterwards, I think that elevates your friend level and decreases his. I don't know. There seems to be some sort of teetering seesaw thing going on here. Raymond Black, the old man, gave you a home once, took you and Duncan off the gang-ridden streets of the Barrens, sheltered, educated, and slapped sense into you both, until you almost resemble productive members of society, and then you took off and left it all behind. Landed behind bars for a time. Tried to start a new life after that. It's been 8 years since you've heard Raymond's voice, until out of the blue you got his cryptic message, a plea for help. Meet me in Hong Kong, right away, and wired to your account enough new yen to pay for the flight, and then some. The descent is rough, a squall comes out of nowhere, sending a solid sheet of rain punching into the suborbital transport. With a ragged shudder, the plane finally skids to a halt at the edge of Czech-Lap-Cock tarmac. I hope I pronounced that right. An hour and an interminable number of emotionless security checkpoints later, you hail a water taxi to Victoria Harbor. Hong Kong looms ahead, pulsing with energy. You step from the churning of the water taxi to the ponderous rocking of the docks, your stomach lurching at the transition. As soon as you're clear, the captain nods once and steers the small craft back into the harbor. The man never said a word, just handed you a worn brown duffel bag when you stepped on board filled with gear, some stiff new body armor and a note. Better safe than sorry. D. Above, smog-thick clouds hang low in the sky, reflecting the lights of the city in a nauseating swirl. The wind changes direction more than once, creating a heady stew of aromas, diesel, sea salt, street food, and filth. It's all you can do to keep your in-flight meal where it belongs. Two figures stand waiting in the dim light of the pier. The first is an orc, lean, with an in-your-face muscle and jaw made to break fists. The second is an elf, one hand resting casually against her hip. Raymond Black is nowhere to be seen. Well, don't you look like shit? Duncan Wu, the closest thing you have to a brother. You haven't seen the man in 8 years. Still as charming as ever. He grins. Green's not really your color, Pop-Tart. Doesn't go with that nice new armor I got you. As you open your mouth to respond, something shifts alarmingly in your stomach. A liquid, bubbling sensation. So we can make a body check right here and tough it out. We got cat's eyes. That's pretty legit. If you had cat's eyes, I don't know if that would help you or hurt you with the ladies. Like you want to pet my mohawk? I don't know. It might work. We'll tough it out. Don't know what you're talking about. Must be the harbor lights messing with you. Must be. I guess you've still got some of your old fortitude at least. He laughs. Considering how much synthahol we used to put down, I'd be surprised if you could handle a little chop. Anyways, we gotta go find Raymond. Find Raymond? I thought he'd be here. He never showed up. He's still got that same baritone rasp, and he's had it since he was 12. Wu developed it early. Did you try him on comp? That seems pretty obvious. But like, well, did you try to call him on the phone? In all honesty, did you call him? No. I can't find him, but I didn't bother to call him. I found the problem with our plan. Well, no sense standing around then. Where's the meeting place? Not far. It's just on the other side of the pier here. He jabs a thumb behind him. The woman standing beside him breaks in. We should get going, Duncan. Head back to the meeting point in case your dad shows up. Copy that, Sarge. They're wearing Lone Star body armor. It looks like Duncan Wu's gone private police. So if you don't know who, well, I mean, they basically explained it, but basically there's Lone Star and there's a couple other firms that police the entire world at this point. They're big corporations that just hire out security, Blackwater style, all over the world, and Lone Star is one of the biggest ones. There's a couple companies. We might, I think there's Knight Errant, and there's a couple other smaller ones, and I don't know if we're going to run into them during the course of this playthrough. But I don't actually think there's been a whole lot of Lone Star in any of the previous games. I think Lone Star mostly, I think you dealt with Knight Errant a lot in the previous games. Sarge. The woman taps her chest with an armored finger. Carter, Seattle Lone Star. I'm Duncan's partner. And superior officer, she grins. I let him carry my coffee for me sometimes. Write my parking tickets, that sort of thing. I figured I could use some backup. Didn't know what Ray'd gotten himself into, and I wasn't sure you were going to show up. It's a tossed-off remark, but there's an undercurrent of resentment in it. Well, surprise. Here I am. Yeah, well, I wasn't so sure, you know. He shakes his head. Look, I'm glad you're here, Pop-Tart. Seriously. But I'm going to need some time to get used to having you around again. It's been a while since I heard from you, you know? Memories of sleepless nights and lockup flash by, wondering if you'd ever see Duncan or Raymond again. wondering if you even wanted to. And then, stepping out into the daylight, suddenly free, the fallout of some obscure corporate restructuring, a few hundred new yen worth of apology from your former jailers and a decision to start a new life, to leave the past behind. All of it. Until now. Well, I've been out of touch. Wu stares at you, his goggles reflecting the harbor lights. Yeah, you could say that. He scans the waterfront, frowning. Let's just find Raymond. He was supposed to meet us in the plaza on the other side of the pier. The sooner we find him, the sooner you can all have a big happy family reunion over dinner. Carter grins, and the sooner I can find a place to get a drink around here. Damn right. I tried to, you gotta do that one right there. They go, damn right. I don't know. It seems like every time somebody says damn right in a video game, I have to do it that way. It's mandatory. And if I don't do it verbally, I do it in my head. Because why not? Ahead of you, Hong Kong rises, serpent-like from the sea. Government and megacorp coiled together, writhing in their basket of institutionalized corruption. No one can tell where the snake's body ends and its tail begins. That's what Raymond used to say. Duncan turns and starts down the pier. Carter follows. So are we off right now? Okay, it looks like we're looking around. Let's have a look around the UI and see what's going on here. I realize that's going to bore some people, but everything more or less looks to function the exact same way that it did. Inside of our inventory, we started with an AK-97, and then we started with the Sony CTY 360, a basic cyber deck, but it'll get it done. We've got our secure decker clothing, which actually looks pretty badass. Walking around in body armor during this time period, very fashionable. We got to work on leg day, though. Look at his tiny little legs. He's got itty-bitty legs. Got to get up on, I don't know, we need to get on a Stairmaster or something. Work on that a little bit. Get the glutes all popping. Be like, pop, pop. Make the booty go womp, womp, womp. So that we can get free drinks at the bar. We got a frag grenade by Facchetti. We've got a basic med kit. Dock wagon trauma kit. But don't forget, leave your foes in confetti with Facchetti. That's what I always said when I used to play Shadowrun. Leave your foes as confetti when you use Facchetti. They just make hand grenades. That's it. We can inspect something. Fresh construction is expanding the harbor out into the water. Corporate interests can afford to create new streets. It disappeared, but I went the extra mile for all of you and memorized it because you know what? I care about your viewing experience. Let's see here. I think that's locked, obviously, from the big lock symbol. It'd be funny if that was just painted on the fence, be like, locked. And then it's not actually locked. They just painted a big lock on it. People are like, oh, it's locked. We shouldn't even go over there and try and burgle. It's locked. Obviously, this isn't going to work. Some random painter somewhere's like, got a locked gate over here. The guard shack at the end of the pier is dark and empty. Duncan gives the gate a push, but it doesn't budge. That was my nickname in high school, dark and empty. Huh. Well, that was open earlier. Duncan frowns. It looks pretty solid. Okay, so we can say we could find another way. Maybe if you bang your head against it hard enough, it'll open. I'm actually a nice guy when I play video games. I try not to be a dick to my party members because they're the ones soaking bullets for me. Shouldn't there be somebody to let us out or something? Yeah, it smells a little funny, don't it? Carter shrugs. Who knows? It's Hong Kong. Not exactly sure how things work around here. Come on, rookie. We can cut through the construction site. Yeah, that's not going to work out. I hate it when you call me that. I know it's going to be bad. We're going to go into the construction site, and then there's going to be like some Halloweeners or like some I-5ers or something, and they're going to be like, hey, Chubba, where you going? And we're going to be like, now we're going to have a gunfight. And they'll be like, oh, right, gang sanctioned violence. I said gang sanctioned? Gang sanctioned violence. There we go. I've ruined my own monologue. I've ruined it. Is this gate going to be open down here? Maybe they're talking about, they didn't say whether it was the left side or the right side construction. And it does matter because the construction workers on either side, they hate each other. These guys are like left side. These guys are like right side. And then they're just constantly beefing it out with each other. We got a security checkpoint over here. I'm going to go ahead and activate that. The gate is locked, but the nearby control panel appears accessible. Carter pulls it open with a metallic screech that pierces your skull, sending a new wave of pain down to your churning stomach. It's New Wave Pain. It's a song type that I've made. She examines the control panel for a moment, then throws Wu a backwards glance. Looks like there's another way off the docks on the other side of the gate. I think that I can bypass the lock. Let me take a crack at that. Carter steps aside to let you get at the panel. Enjoy. This is a civilian area and security is light. You bypass the door circuit with ease. The gate rattles open. It's a rattle gate. Watch out. It'll bite you. They're venomous. You gotta watch out for those crazy rattle gates. I think everything's... Movement! Oh, apparently... Yep, gangbangers. Oh, no, they're shouting... I don't know. They might be Shadowrunners. Says they're shouting in Cantonese, too quick to catch. The group at the dock was fishing a package out of a speedboat when you surprised them. Now the package is at the bottom of the bay and the speedboat is disappearing into the distance. They close on you, red-faced and yelling. The light of the harbor glints off their weapons as they approach. The leader shouts something in Cantonese, but it's too fast to make out. You're rusty. It's been years since Raymond's house, and the language lesson that wouldn't end. The old man never spoke anything but his native language at home. Too fast to make out? That was my college nickname. Anyways, Wu speaks with authority. His Cantonese is as solid as ever. He didn't let it drop, or he never let it drop. You guys doing some late night fishing? The smuggler smiles. Yeah, we're fishing for assholes. Wu points at their weapons. You're gonna need some better bait. All you're gonna catch with that is trouble. We can ask him if he learned that in Rent-A-Cop school. We're just passing through. Why don't you put the guns away? Shout in Cantonese, Lone Star. Lay down your weapons. I don't know if I should do that one. That might piss them off. That's using somebody else's authority. And in my experience, that's a bad idea. You probably don't want to whisper to him. Seriously? They teach you... Should I whisper it? I'm gonna whisper. Seriously? Did they teach you that in Rent-A-Cop school? He turns to you with a smile starting on his face. Then he thinks the better of it, turns back to the smugglers. He flashes his badge. Lone Star, put the guns down. The smuggler squints at Wu's badge, then smiles at his friends. Never seen a badge like that before. Either it's fake or you're some kind of security guard. He grasps his rifle. Either way, this ends the same. I think he's done talking. Alright, so we're in combat. I'm going to break it off right here. Luckily, I'm going to give you a couple of episodes today. So this is not a cliffhanger. I will see you in the next episode. This is Shadowrun Hong Kong. Check the game out down below for realsies. I've got all the information that you could ever want about the game. Check it out. It's super cool. It's super rad. Shadowrun is one of my favorite things in the whole world, and the only way that Shadowrun things keep getting made is if people support them. And so all the information you need is down below in the description. I'll see y'all later. Hi to everybody.